Hello.
Hi.
So sometimes when we start this, we don't really know what's going to come out of your brilliant mind.
Yes.
Um, and today you were saying that what's big for you is you want to um, talk about not being a victim in all this.
Yeah, I want to talk about that. I want to put it out there that I'm not writing this because I want pity, because I want sympathy, because I want people to say, "Oh my God." I'm writing this for a couple different reasons. I'm writing this because I want people who are in this sort of relationship to understand what kind of relationship they're in. Because I know when it starts out and the mind games start and they go back and forth at some point, because it happened to me, it happened to a lot of people in the same situation. You're just like, I don't understand what's going on. And then you start thinking that you're crazy, and you're not crazy. I also want to say that I'm writing this to help a narcissist, any narcissist, realize this is what they may be doing. And they don't realize what they're doing. A lot of them don't realize. I don't think they wake up every morning and they say, okay, now I'm going to screw with this person's life and I'm going to do this and, have a checklist of all the mean things they're going to do. They are doing this because they're being allowed to do it. Also because they don't know any better. And when I say they're allowed to do it, I allowed this to happen to me. I allowed this. And not only was he was verbally abusive. He was, physically abusive. He was all these horrible things that you don't want in a guy. But at the same time, I stayed. I stayed. I'm a grown ass woman. I can make decisions. I can get up and I can walk away. He was 2,000 miles away from me. All I had to do was press one button, and end the whole thing. And I didn't. And the question is, okay, so like why? Why didn't you? Because I loved him. And the way I saw love for such a long time was love hurts. Love is difficult. Love is a battlefield. There are songs about how difficult love is. If your love isn't tough or strained, then is it even real?
That's what you told yourself?
That's what society kind of tells us a little bit. Not in every relationship, so don't write me letters. Not with every single person, but the majority of it is, if you're not suffering in some way, then is it even love? Love should be passionate. Yeah, and it should be, but not passionate where someone's getting insulted or name called or put down or abused. Passionate in a happy, positive way. And not a lot of us are used to that. So growing up, my parents didn't have the best relationship. My family members didn't have the best relationship. So my versions of love, it was pain. So when I started seeing Jake, he was great in the beginning, and then it started to get a little bit different. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I love him, so I'm gonna stick it out. I'm gonna love him, so I'm gonna put myself through all of this.
Is it the controlling stuff that you would say you would look at it and go, oh, well, that just means he's really in love with me?
Yeah, sometimes, yeah. Like, he would get jealous. And Derek wasn't, like, a jealous type of guy. I always had a joke with Derek when I was like, someone would walk by and punch me in the face, and you'd be like, well, you should have ducked. Because Derek is just kind of how he is. But with, Jake, it was completely different. But it was, like, from one extreme to the other, where it was like, okay, there's no happy medium. It's like, so when somebody was, feeling a little bit jealous, I was like, oh, he cares. But then it got to be excessive, like too much, like, wait a minute, like something doesn't feel right. And I, wrote in episode 4 about my gut. My gut had the same question that a lot of people have, which was, what the fudge? Like, really? This is my gut talking to me the whole time. And, I ignored that gut for 5 years because I was like, no, my brain knows better than this. But I knew at some point it was wrong and it didn't feel good, but I stayed. I did not walk away because I loved him. And for me at the time, love was suffering. And there was plenty of suffering. But I thought that's what you do in a relationship. So I stayed.
Was there a fear behind staying? Like, if I don't stay, I'm going to be alone. Or if I don't stay, what was
Yes.
the fear behind
fear
it that would allow you to stay?
It was easier for me to suffer and be hurt than to be alone. because society also teaches us that if you're alone, you're unlovable. And that's not true. That is so not true. If you're alone, there's nothing wrong with that. But for me, I went from my 20 plus year relationship to absolutely terrified. Oh my God, I'm going to be completely alone. What is that? People are going to think, you know, I'm unlovable. I am unlovable if I'm not linked up with someone. So I stayed linked up with someone so I wouldn't be alone. You know, so I would always have someone to talk to. And I didn't realize how valuable friendships were. You know, how valuable they were at the time. And now, the friendships I have with my friends, my people, I wouldn't trade in for anything. You know, that's my foundation. That's my base, you know, my people. They're always going to be there. You know, guys may come and go, but my friends will always be there. And for me, it was like, no. In my head, you needed a guy to take you somewhere. You needed someone for Valentine's Day. Heaven forbid, you know. You needed someone for Christmas. You needed someone for the holidays, which is why I think a lot of people link up so fast with the wrong people because they don't want to be alone for these things. And I'll tell you, my first Christmas I spent by myself. My kids were with Derek. Best Christmas I ever had. Fun, happy, truly.
So did you have friends that were honest with you and maybe weren't around as things went on, or?
I had some friends who pieced out because it was too difficult for them. But
And what did you tell yourself when that would happen?
you know, it's like you start to realize things a little bit in your head. You start to realize things.
Did you think, oh, they just don't understand, or they're too judgmental, or like what?
I think once my friends started walking out a little bit, I was like, huh, something is up. Because at that point, it's like, wait a minute. Because before this, I didn't.
But you can't see it. You're not seeing it. You're just like, it's not like you see it and you're ignoring it. You just really don't.
You can't see it. You can't see it. And people who try to point it out will try to point it out in such a negative way. Like, what's wrong with you? How can you not see this? It's not going to work for me. You know, actually, it's not going to work for anyone, no matter how someone pointed anything out, which is why I'm writing. So someone, some girl, some guy can read this and come up with their own opinions of what's going on. So whether it's someone who is quote unquote a victim, because once you realize what's going on and you stay, you are no longer a victim. Just saying. And then,
Can you realize what's going on? Looking back, can you realize what's going on when you're in it? Can there be any awakenings or not?
I think,
really?
yeah, I had a couple. You know, I had some, and reading this for me was a little bit, writing this and then like rereading it back was a little interesting because I'm looking at the girl, which is obviously me that I'm writing about, and I'm upset writing this. I'm upset reading this because I love that girl now. I love her. I didn't always love her. No, but I do now, and looking back and seeing what she is going to go through breaks my heart. And it's tough because someone who loves themselves won't allow that to happen. And I didn't love myself. I didn't. I thought, you know, I love this guy. This is how he is, and this is what my life looks like because that's just how it is. It didn't dawn on me that this wasn't right. It didn't dawn on me that I would be okay on my own, which is the biggest thing. I always say that the space between no longer and not yet, like that's the place where I am right now, and I'm so comfortable. And the people try to get through the no longer, and they skip, you know, that space between no longer and not yet, and they go straight into something else, and then they don't realize they're carrying with them all the baggage from every other relationship and everything else. And for me, I stopped, and I was like, I'm facing a lot of stuff right now. I can't get into something else, because if I tried to get in a relationship with someone else, I would have brought with me Jake. Jake would have been there. Jake is no longer there. Jake is a distant memory at this point, because the more I write, the further away from him I get. And he's taught me a lot. So when I do start my next relationship, it's going to be all me, not me, Derek, Jake,
Well, not ignoring yourself and just being all about
all about the
what do they
person.
need.
Yeah, so it's gonna take a pretty interesting guy to kind of break through and eat at my table.
Which this is not an invitation to be
Oh
like,
Lord,
please.
no, please, no. I get no, please, no. I get no. I'm not. No, no. This is not like, hey, I'm dating. No, no.